I think what's happening in today's society is the backlash from overcorrection of different systems. For example, if you think about natural selection, a lot of the men who exist today would not have existed without the patriarchy. When I say overcorrection, it wasn't even that people were trying to correct something, they were just trying to be in power or get benefits that they wouldn't normally do. I think a lot of aspects of, the patriarchy and, colonization and all those systems is that whatever they project onto the oppressed is what they actually fail at. If you think about everything that the patriarchy says about men, is actually women. We're going to be the protectors. Sometimes men can be the providers, but like if there's something happening in general public and somebody is looking to be saved, a woman is most likely going to step in, particularly a black woman. Whatever white supremacy says about white people is actually attributed to black people or the oppressed. And to continue on the overcorrection, again, it's not always correction, it's sometimes capitalism. So with all this AI, technology, social media, a lot of nerds thought to create these systems in which to communicate more easily without actually having to deal with human beings, but it actually had the opposite effect, and now we communicate less with each other and are worse at communicating with each other. Now that we're in a space where for a period of time women had rights, we're now able to get jobs, have credit cards. And this is in a US context. Some of it can be applied internationally. But now that we have all these rights, we don't need men as much. So it is imperative that we want them, because the current men who are available didn't have a father or a grandfather to teach them how to work in the current system. They don't know how to problem solve. If you think about people complaining about like younger Gen Z and Gen Alpha, they don't know how to problem solve. They don't know how to adapt. That is what natural selection is about, adaptation. And so the oppressed have been able to adapt continually because that's what they're required to do. Women, black people, disabled people, neurodivergent people, they're able to adapt to different things because they continually have to adapt in so many spaces. So the people at the top of the system of each of those groups don't know how to adapt, and so they are not being successful. That's why you have a lot of women choosing to be single, or you have a lot of people pushing back on things like AI. I think there's going to be, in some type of generation or some years forward, a lot of people are going to be going back to tactile stuff instead of leaning heavily on technology. But I don't think what is happening with things like technology and AI is going to stop, because ever since slavery was abolished, they've been trying to replace slavery. So if you think about, okay, we can't have slaves anymore, so we have immigrants who are doing work for pennies, and oftentimes willingly, and not even kind of the acknowledgement of how being taken advantage of they are, because it is the land of opportunity from and better than where they came from. And now with technology and specifically AI is slavery, because they're always trying to figure out how to get a worker to pay them the least amount of money. Even in the entertainment industry, with the way that actors have been treated. If you think about black shows and TV shows, they'll go get the British people because they can pay them less. And Americans have definitely been sold a story that it's because the British are more talented and classically trained. When if you look at the Black Panther movie, all the Americans is classically trained except Michael B. Jordan. Brian Tyree Henry, he could play Paperboy, but he's classically trained. Sterling K. Brown, classically trained. Mahershala Ali, classically trained. And there are so many classically trained actors who are American who are out of work. So acting like British people are more classically trained, that's a myth. Now that they're trying to push AI, I think everything in capitalism is like a multi-level marketing scheme. And so they try to push things as quickly as possible so that the people at the top can make the most money, and then it's going to fail. They're realizing really quickly that AI isn't as great as they claim it is, but also with white supremacy, there's this idea to immediately trust other white men, and so they can get in a meeting and sell a company magic beans as far as their AI, and then once they actually implement it into their system, they realize that the AI is nothingness. So it all works together. Capitalism, white supremacy, supremacy, the patriarchy, it all works together to manipulate the people who are supposed to be benefiting from the system and to oppress the people who do not benefit from the system.